Hello everyone, my name is Gus and welcome to Dive Talk Plus, our second channel where we get to record videos about stuff that is interesting or questions that we get on the main channel and get to talk about here in a place where it makes more sense. And those of you who are, fans of the channel Dive Talk get to come here and hear our answers to some of these questions. So the one question that I get the most personally is about watches. You guys see multiple episodes where you see me wearing different watches. I love watches. It's one of the things that I don't think I collect them. I just really like them. I think years and years ago, first of all, I fell in love with watches the time my dad gave me my first watch, which is when I graduated high school and I went to college, and he said, look, you're a college guy now, you need to have a nice watch. And he gave me this Seiko watch that I still have, by the way. And that's when I fell in love with mechanical watches specifically. It's a stainless steel Seiko watch. And since then, I've always loved mechanical watches. And then I learned more about them, how they're made, and I love them even more. As an engineer, I went to college and graduated as a computer engineer in 2003. I just absolutely fell in love with mechanical watches and what makes them work and everything there's, to know about mechanical watches, I kind of fell in love with. So I started kind of buying watches over time. And one of the things that I bought even before I became a diver was a dive watch. Okay. I have a couple of dive watches and I wanted to talk about kind of how is a watch used for scuba diving, right? What watch do you use to dive? That's the question that I get the most. So I wanted to talk about that because the answer is none of them, really. I rarely use one of my dive watches for diving. And the main reason for that is that most of the dives that I do are rebreather dives. And in rebreather dives, I have two computers, one in each arm or in each wrist, if you want to see it that way. So because of that, I don't really have any room to carry a watch in a way that makes sense. There's no point of me carrying a mechanical dive watch in a pocket. I mean, what's the point of that? But when I'm in open water, especially if we're on vacation, for example, and I realize that, oh, there's an opportunity to do an open water dive or something, if I'm wearing a watch on the trip, I'll wear it on the dive. And the answer is I'll wear whatever watch I'm wearing at that point. I think every single one of my watches that I have, the mechanical watches I have, are waterproof. I can dive with them. And, I typically, whatever I'm wearing, I get to take with me. Now, when I travel, I tend to bring a mechanical watch that is versatile, that I can wear during the day, just walking around sites. If I'm doing something on the van, I can work on the van without really worrying about stuff. Or, if I'm out at night to dinner with my wife or something like that, I don't have to worry about that, wearing like a Casio G-Shock or something that may, make people think that, what's that guy wearing? I tend to wear watches that blend in throughout the day. So the watch that you've seen the most wearing for me on videos is this watch. This is known as a Deep Blue. A Rolex Deep Blue is a deep sea dweller. It was inspired by James Cameron. And if you look at the face of the watch, it goes from blue to black. By the way, I don't own any watch that I baby, that I'm only wearing this if I'm going to meet the queen or something like that. No, I wear all my watches and I don't care. Like if I'm out hiking or whatever, I don't have any watch that is like, I'm going to protect this one. So this guy I've worn everywhere, diving, not diving, repairing the car, it doesn't matter. I just wear it and I don't think about it twice. These watches are built to go to hell and back. And some of the features of this watch, it has a helium escape valve, and the waterproofness in this watch is ridiculous. So let me read it right here. 12,800 meters. So it's supposed to go all the way to the Titanic and not break. And as a matter of fact, I think when I bought this watch, again, I bought this watch before I got certified as a diver. I believe this watch was strapped on the outside of a submersible that went to the Titanic with James Cameron. And that's how they tested the waterproofness on this watch. So anyway, what makes this a dive watch is the bezel, okay? The bezel of the watch is what makes it a dive watch. So the way this works is the bezel has minutes on it. Let me get close so you can see it. I'll pull the mic closer. All right, so if you see this watch, the bezel has the minute marking, and the numbers on it are really big, so it's easy to see underwater. Okay, so the idea is, when you're on the boat discussing your dive plan, let's say there's a wreck at 50 feet, 15 meters, and you agree that you're going to go down to this wreck and stay down there for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever, right? You come up with a plan. We're going to go down to a wreck. We're going to swim around for 30 minutes, and then we're going to come up. The idea is, when you jump in the water, you're going to set the 12 o'clock marker on the minute. So this bezel is a single unidirectional rotating bezel. It only goes one way, and you can hear it's audible. Let me get it closer to the mic so you can hear it. Oh, love that sound. So satisfying. Okay, so we're going to rotate it until that marker, the 12 o'clock marker, is right on the minute. So let me show you what that looks like. All right, so you can see that marker right there is pointing to the minute hand. So once I jump in the water and I go down, I no longer care about the time on the watch. All I'm looking at is the bezel. So when that bezel hits the 30-minute marker, you can see, sorry, when the minute hand hits the 30-minute mark, the 6 o'clock, you can see that it will be about 14 minutes in the dive. So I'm looking at the bezel for that. So the idea is, I don't need really a computer. I can just look at my bezel, and when the minute hand hits 20 or 30, whatever it is the time we agreed, I'm going to head up. That's how a dive watch is used, okay? It's basically a bottom timer. It tells you how long you've been on the bottom. Now, it's not 100% foolproof because you can bump the bezel. The good news about it is that in dive watches, the bezel is unidirectional. So if you bump it, all right, so I'm going to just bump it on purpose. Now, when I get to the 6 o'clock, it will say like 20 minutes or so, if you can see it, right? Or 18, 19 minutes. So instead of the 14 original minutes that I was going to have, I bumped it by mistake. It's going to tell me more. So it makes a mistake, but it's safer. It tells you that you already hit those 20 minutes or whatever, and it's time to head up. So if anything, you will go up earlier than you had planned before, making it safer, right? Because we don't want to dive for longer than our no decompression limit, you know, or past our plan. That's the idea behind the bezel. So if you bump it, it goes, you know, it's bad that you bump it because now you lost track, but you lose track in a safer way, okay? So it only goes one way. If I try to rotate it the other way, you can see it doesn't go. It only rotates one way. That's what the bezel is like. Now, not all watches that have a bezel are dive watches. Here's another good example. This watch has a bezel on it. This is a Rolex Jetmaster 1 Rhodium. It's a beautiful watch. This bezel goes both ways, and it doesn't click. Look, I'm going to put it close to the microphone. Do you hear that? I mean, barely. If you put your ear next to it, you kind of hear it, but it's not audible like the other one that clicks. And this one, look, it goes both ways. I can go that way, or I can go this way. It goes both ways. So this bezel is not for diving. You can bump it in the wrong way, right? So you would, you know, you're down for 20 minutes and you bump it and it tells you that you've only been down for 8. That's bad, right? If I'm down for 20 minutes and I bump it and it tells me I've been down for 24, okay, that's safer. It's not right, but it's safer, okay? So that's why this watch is not right for that. Now, you can ask me, well, if all there is to it is to know how long you've been down, why don't you use a stopwatch, right? And you could. So this watch right here, this is, by the way, my second favorite watch. This is a Hamilton Yachtmaster Maestro, okay? It's a beautiful, beautiful watch. You guys can look it up. This Hamilton has a chronograph. Look, I can click on the button, right? I can stop it. I don't know if you can hear it because we're far from the microphone, but it has a chronograph. I can start it here, reset it, right? And the clock goes. The problem with that is that the chronograph are these two little, you know, circles, two little dials in the humongous bezel. So if you're diving, first of all, these things are tiny. So you're going to, I mean, underwater, you're going to be like, is that 12 minutes? Or it's hard to see, right? And the other thing is that if you stop it by mistake, if it's a chronometer, basically, you stop it by mistake, then you don't know. Like when you see it later on, you're diving, you look at it and, oh, it stopped at 13 minutes. Have I been down for 14 minutes, 18 minutes, 20 minutes? I have no idea. By the way, none of these watches, whether it's chronograph or whatever, dive watch or whatnot, tells you how deep you are. It tells you how much air you have left, right? Things that are super important to know, it doesn't tell you any of that stuff. So they're not great for diving. All they do is tell you how long you've been down underwater at the bottom. Maybe, as long as you don't bump into it, maybe they're accurate at best. So what do we use? We use computers. Even the cheapest computer, like this Mars Puck, which I think is less than $200, okay? This thing, let me turn it on. Oop. This thing will tell me everything. Will tell me how deep I've been underwater, how deep I am. The only thing it doesn't tell me is how much air I have left, but I use an SPG, a submersible pressure gauge like this thing, all right? I connect this to the tank, and this will tell me how much air I have left. So the combination of these two tell me everything, and they're accurate. You won't stop the timer on this thing by mistake. It will count it no matter what until it runs out of battery, basically. It will tell you how deep you are and how long you've been there and what's your NDL, your now decompression limit. How long can you stay down without needing decompression? So even a super cheap computer like a Mars Puck, this is a Mars Puck Pro, sorry, Mars, this thing will be better for diving than a super expensive Rolex or whatever watch you have. I think that if you're going to get a dive watch, do it for the love of it. Do it because you enjoy the engineering behind it. Even this watch right here, this is a Precious, which we gave away, I think it was last year in this channel. This is a dive watch. It inspired by the old school divers. Look at this thing right here with the crown. You can like unhook it and, to set the clock and stuff, and it's connected by like a little chain. How cool is that? This thing is based on the very first dive watches that came on the market. I love it. It's like an homage to diving and the very first dive watches. Nothing special. I wouldn't use this as my main, monitor for a dive. I just use it to wear it. I love it. I am unapologetically in love with watches. I don't care. People are like, my best friend is like, dude, you can just look at the time on your phone. That's not what it's for. If you're one of those people, no problem. You don't have to buy a watch at all. Not even a $10 watch. Doesn't matter. But if you're like me, who loves the engineering and love what makes a watch tick, and love the fact that you get to wear things, for men is kind of difficult to wear jewelry. It's not common. It's not normal. Most men don't like that anyway. I think a watch is perfect for that. I wear this one for functionality. This is an Apple Watch Ultra that we bought to make a review and compare it with the Mars Puck Pro and all these other computers in the market. But I mean, there's the Shearwater Terek, the Shearwater Turn. There's a ton of examples of better dive watches or dive computers than an actual dive watch. Dive watches are not used by divers, honestly. Now, I gotta say though, because I love mechanical watches, I remember doing a dive with this guy in Cozumel, the first time I went to Cozumel, and looking at that watch at the bottom of the ocean with the blue water around you and how perfect it melts with the face of this watch, the blue on the face. I mean, it just looks beautiful, right? There's beauty in this world. Some people don't care. You might be watching this and be like, give me a break. It's not that cool. But man, I'm telling you, when you're underwater and you look at that thing, you just look at it in comparison with the ocean around it, it's just pure beauty. So if you like mechanical watches, dive watches, buy one. Whether you're a diver or not, who cares? It's the same way I feel about dive helmets, by the way. And if you didn't see our video about dive helmets, I'm going to leave it right here. Go check it out. If you have any other questions about dive watches or anything in general, drop them down in a comment, and we'll see you on the next one.